Hey everybody, welcome back to the Roofr Masterclass. I am your host, Pete McKendrick, with my co-host Nick, and we are excited today to demo some new features on the Instant Estimator, and we are joined by some other roofers today. We've got our resident surfing fantasy league analyst, Rob Simon, and our Scotch connoisseur, Cam Mills, in the house today to help us out to showcase the new Instant Estimator functionality. Welcome, guys.
Yoo-hoo.
So let's dive into it. I mean, obviously, the Instant Estimator for us, Nick, has been a big one. Lots of folks using it, lots of effective different uses of the product. But we've had a ton of feedback come in, and Cam and his team have been working really hard to kind of revamp it and make it even better than the original version. So, let's talk about some of the things that, Nick, that you guys hear in sales from the Instant Estimator as far as the success of that product goes.
Yeah, it's really cool because that was the original Roofr product, and not a lot of people know that in 2016 when we released Roofr, it was just an Instant Estimator, and from there we kind of evolved, and now we're into this full end-to-end CRM all on one tool. And since our re-release, I guess Instant Estimator 2.0 of September, about 2 years ago now, we're coming up on a year and a half or so. There's been so many iterations because of the team that we have around us now with Rob and Cam and their supporting cast. We've listened to our customers and seen all the changes. So whether it's on your website as a embedded code, a widget, if you will, so it's there so customers can drive traffic to their website and get quotes instantly, whether it's on their social, their TikTok videos, their Instagram reels, whether it's on their door hangers, yard signs. Some of the coolest ideas I've seen have been super creative, like on a grocery cart, you can rent the space out because if you're pushing around a grocery cart, you got your phone on anyways, and it says, how much does your roof cost? You want to find out. One of the coolest ones, and the reason why my business card looks like this is I had a guy in Tampa who called me one day and he's just like, yo, I broke it. And I was like, what'd you break? And he's like, no, I broke the system. So he said he is only high-end roofing sales. So he does slate, standing seam, tile, etc. And so his clients are high-end net worth individuals. So what he did was he printed off 2,000 business cards for like $200 or something like that from Vistaprint. On the back was just his logo. On the front was no name, no number, just a QR code, and says, do you know how much your roof is worth? And he went to high-end restaurants where his clients would be eating, walked into the place, dropped the cards on the waiting room table, and walked out. Every weekend, while he's sitting at home watching TV, he's getting qualified leads from his ideal customer profile from just that business card, and it cost him $200. It's some really, really cool things. And now with the next iteration that we have coming out, with the beauty, the functionality, and how streamlined it is, it's about to take it to the next level. So really cool stuff we got coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen some some incredible use cases. I think I even saw one where the guy has it like on the side of a boat or something.
Yeah.
Like just crazy stuff where they, you can stick a QR code anywhere now. So, you can really have that Instant Estimator anywhere. But so let's dive into it a little bit and let's talk about, Cam, we take, obviously, one of the things we take the most serious here at Roofr is our customer feedback. We have a suggestions channel where we're, all day long, Nick's guys in sales and our customer success people are posting in there after they talk to customers and with great ideas. And you guys kind of weed through that and come up with the next iteration of the product, based off of that customer feedback and talking to customers. And so let's dive into that a little bit and see what you guys have come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this year our focus on my team has definitely been really heads down with the Instant Estimator. And I think the first thing we'll talk about is like kind of the homeowner experience, because at the end of the day, this is how you're representing your business to these homeowners. And so we really wanted to make that like the best possible experience. And something we'd heard a lot about was also particularly improving like the mobile experience, because a lot of people are scanning these QR codes on their phone. They're not at a computer doing this. So we wanted to make a super clean mobile experience for everyone. And so we redesigned every single page of the homeowner flow to try and improve that. And I think the first thing here is, as Nick's showing, is we added this new splash screen. So at the very beginning, just to set a little bit of context. because that was something that we got some comments from different roofers about, is just that, if someone clicked on an ad, they didn't necessarily have a lot of context into your business or what this QR code even linked to. It's just nice to know that, like, hey, we're going to give you a quote for your roof and tell you a little bit about like how we're going to get it using satellite imagery. And that was kind of first thing we wanted to do, was just set the context for everyone who was stumbling on this. And then if you kind of, as we're going through it, we just kind of streamlined every page, tried to improve some of the imagery, so as things are as nice as possible. And we try to add this like premium feel. So as you're going and searching up an address, we're actually going to zoom right into the location for you, instead of just jumping to the next page. So you can kind of see everything you're looking at. And a big thing here is we actually now also capture all the buildings on a property, because one of the most common piece of feedback we got from roofers was, this is kind of like, at the end of the day, accuracy is the most important piece. And if we weren't able to get an accurate footprint, nothing else mattered. So we have a whole new imagery provider that's higher end imagery. It lets us capture everything on the property, and that's really been one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we tried to address as soon as possible. That was one of the first things we launched as part of this like revamp. And going through it now, we have all these, because it's a multi-building lot. You can now choose what you want to include. If you just want to do the main roof, include the side structures, all that is possible. And then you can select your slope, and we'll tell the homeowner kind of what materials they can kind of add. And again, here, just kind of revamp the look a little bit, add some nicer images, and just trying to clean it up and ask them what they want on their roof. Then these are the last few questions just around capturing their timeline, if they're interested in financing, so we can help you get some information when it comes to your sales process. And of course, capturing any other information in case there's something to add themselves.
I should have put a sad face. Happy face after leaking my son's room would have been weird. But
Absolutely. And then the last thing on this page here is we also wanted to start giving people a little bit of a sneak peek at what was going to come next. So as you can see, you can actually see the results kind of in the background, because this is where you see the drop off. People don't want to give you their information, because then they know you're going to call them or email them. But we want to make it as exciting as possible, knowing that your quote's right around the corner. Just answer a few questions, and we're going to actually tell you, what your roof costs.
I always love this page because like it does that need payoff. So before it was just the card here, right? Where should we send your estimates, or what you're one step away.
Yeah.
But now we really kind of bring in, like, you're going to give something away for free as a roofing contractor. You need something free in return. And how do you entice that? Well, you blur the background, show a little bit about that stuff, but then you kind of put them into a spot where they want to put that information in. So it allows you to make sure that that funnel is completed. And that's what I've loved about this. And then when you open it up, you got everything right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on this page, we'll start on like kind of left side. We revamped it, trying to make it a little bit cleaner, more compressed, so you can see all of the quotes you have there. But another big thing we want is we also want to start introducing you a little more, because right now this has been it's been very focused on their roof and the price. We wanted to actually highlight you and your company. So we gave you this option of adding in your contact information, a bit of a bio about yourself, and then also the ability to schedule a call so that they can actually talk to you. And it links out to whatever calendar software you use. That way, while they're interested, you can kind of dive right into it. And oh yes, thank you, Nick, for having that. Also, we now have a link for applying for financing. So if you have a financing partner, you can also link the customer right there to start getting like some approval started. All just about trying to get, while they're interested, while they're on the page, make it as useful as possible and capture as much information. And yeah, highlighting some other things about what the roof actually looks like, and highlighting this information. So that's kind of like the revamped homeowner side of the flow. And I think talking more about like the feedback we've been getting, a really big thing we want to do is building that trust with the homeowner. And that's a big piece around also the contact card where you can have your information. We have more planned here. So over the next like month and a half, 2 months, we're going to be rolling out the Company Cam Project Showcase, so you can highlight photos from actual work you've done. So here's an example. This is our current test environment where we're building this out. So this will be coming soon, where you can upload the Project Showcase, show people like work you've actually done, and show them that, you're a legitimate company and you have you're going to do a good job for them. So that's coming soon, which is exciting. And we're also going to start adding in reviews, so you can highlight, some great reviews from Google and other places, so that you can just build some confidence with those homeowners and say, like, yeah, we are the best in the area. You should use us. Here's other people who have loved it and what we've done.
Yeah, I love what we've done here, what you guys have done here with just the redesign. Like having this little bio about yourself is great, number one, from a sales representative. But if it's coming off your website and stuff, you can actually have it built in where it's a company bio, right? So all these individual codes that you or links that you can create for every source known to man, whether it's your sales rep sources, door hangers, whatever the case is, you can really specify that bio to that person. So you're getting to know them. And Pete, one of our friends that does this is John Broche. He from MHI, one unique thing he did and does is that when he's sending out somebody out to an appointment to go inspect the roof, it's a video that's sent over with the face of the person explaining, introducing themselves. Same with Corey Combs over at South Shore. They do the same thing, and that's what I love. It actually tie that in. It kind of gives a face to the name and separates yourself from the competition right off the bat. So not only are you allowing them to window shop and understand the pricing of the roof a little bit more, but you're also introducing yourself a little bit. So it adds some things in. We recommend a little bit of humor here, always in these, but always be professional as well. So adds that all in. But that stuff is great. I love the fact that with us is custom materials are easy to do. So roof rejuvenation, coatings on commercial, any of that stuff, but also repairs. Everybody wants to know what a repair price is. And because we have the ranges available, like for example, on this test environment, I have a -25 plus 5% range on here. It's a crazy different range, but allows you to get more interest. And you can show what a repair and maintenance is because repairs sell. You could turn those into full replacements. So it's a great lead acquisition tool, and then open it up where they can click on multiple and get to understand the roof right off the bat. Nobody else in your market is doing this. So you can have cool stuff that you can build in. Here's a Facebook example, by the way, as well. So, but yeah, there's some really cool stuff. It's amazing how far it's come and where it's going to go as well. So it really opens up that door.
Yeah, we got a couple questions popping into the chat here. Just kind of some general instant estimator questions, but one around how do we get that rep information that you showed there on the right-hand side? How is that added to it? Obviously that's a new feature on this page. So some interest in how we got that on there.
We can definitely go into that. Rob, do you want to dive into some of those updates there that we've done, and we can show it as we're going along?
Yeah. If we could pull it up, like that's one of the things that we realized, that all this cool new stuff is pretty much worthless unless you can set it up easily. So we've put a lot of effort into making it much, much more simpler to be able to configure these and then turn on all these new features. I'm not sure if we're showing all of the updates in here, but it's incredibly easy to upload a photo, test it, and then we definitely want to use a high quality image that's going to set yourself up like in the best possible light. But we do have a new settings template that should be rolled out very, very soon. And this one even gives you a preview while you're actually creating it. Like if you want to go back to the screen that you just had up there, you can actually see what you're creating on mobile. And since going back to the QR code example, it's very important that this thing translates well on a phone. And 50% of your traffic is likely going to be coming from a mobile device. So we've tried to set up the entire settings experience so you can actually see what you're creating. But we're creating a really, really powerful like marketing tool here. And now you're getting a ton of flexibility in terms of making it personable. And one of the callouts from the previous example we were showing is the welcome screen, and that's brand new. And that was intentional so that as soon as users click on the button to launch this thing, something loads. That get a free estimate loads immediately. It's incredibly lightweight. It's not loading like a heavy map. So as soon as you click a button, the user is going to see something, and that's going to build some confidence, because as soon as the first step feels fast and easy, it increases the likelihood that they're going to get to step 2, step 3, and then finally get to that money form. And it's worth calling out on that final lead capture form that That is where we're limiting it to 3 fields. So they're not having to fill out 7, they're not having to fill out 8, and we're giving them a call to action at the top. We're asking a question: where should we send your estimates? So it gives them a reason to give us their information. And it's kind of like going on a date. Like, you don't want to lead off on your dating platform of choice intro message with, how much is this going to cost me? So we want to ask them, where should we send the info? Just let us know. And we're teasing the screen behind them. Hopefully they'll actually fill it out. But this is where we see the most fall off traditionally. So we wanted to limit the amount of inputs they're giving. But we also know that if we introduce a step too soon, it's going to feel invasive. And so we want to tell the story first. So we know that if users answer a few questions, they've invested a few seconds of their life, they've gotten through this flow, they're much, much more likely to actually complete this and then go to the results page. But as soon as they've added this information, you already have a way to nurture them. So regardless if they select another estimate, they click one of the buttons on the following page, you at least have a contact email and you have a contact phone number. And then you can leverage that in your marketing follow-up channels, which is pretty powerful. But the results page itself is pretty special. Right now, what you guys are seeing, it's pretty bare bone. We've got the estimates, the bio card, your roof by the numbers. We've structured the design so that it can support customer reviews. It can support company cam galleries. And the whole concept is that you're building trust while the actual user scrolls down the page. So you're going to have certain buying profiles where they just want to see the price. That's all they care about. They're going to click the black button. A 3-year-old could get an estimate off of this, and boom, they're done, ready to go. That's in your system. So regardless if they scroll past that, it's all just like added bonus at this point. There are going to be some buyers that are less price conscious, so they really want to know who they're hiring. So the more that we go down the page, the more that's going to keep telling a story. Right now, we're giving them the estimates, the measurements. Below this, you'll see the actual customer testimonials. You'll see the company cam gallery. And so by the time they've scrolled from top to bottom, they should have a ton of faith in your ability to actually do the work, not rip them off. You're going to be able to feature other projects in the area that have had some success. And this is all building trust so that when you actually contact them, when you actually call them, when you send that first email, they're much, much more likely to pick up the phone and or reply and or text you back to an SMS, because you're literally starting that relationship by you're adding deposits to the trust account, which is your brand. And so we're hoping that by making it more personable, putting Nick's picture up there, like they're interacting with a person. Yeah.
Well, that leads into one of the questions here by Scott. And he said, how would you best utilize this for stormer insurance work versus retail usage? And I think we have people using it for both, correct, Nick?
Big time. There's a lot of usages for both. Now, I understand with the store, like if you're offering retail and insurance, that the prices could be different. But then again, like that's where these custom ranges come in. So being able to, like, number one, adjust those questions, turn them on or off. There's some that we need to have in there because that's going to give us the formulas. But some of these you could turn on and off, make it bigger or smaller. But when you're building in these ranges, you can kind of have it anywhere you want. So if you think about it, the odds of an adjuster or a carrier coming to your website, clicking on the Instant Estimator link and then holding you to a price is probably slim to none, but you never want to take that out. You want to make sure that you're covered for that. So number one, for insurance and retail, you want to display that it could be within the same range. So the larger the range, the better for insurance, is in my opinion. And that's what we've seen from a lot of our users as well. And furthermore, when they do get that quote, number one, it's going to break down everything here, but the email that they actually get is going to specify this stuff as well, saying that ultimately the quote that you got is a ballpark quote. I'm just pulling it up here. And that is another thing that's going to hold you and protect you with it. So I'm just going to pull this over here for a second. So you can see this email where it says that the email that they automatically get from you right after they did it says, note that these are only rough estimates. Accurate proposals are collected once more information is given about the roof. So that should open that door open as well. So with that, that's going to really open you to retail and insurance and cover your grounds for it. On a second note, for retail, for insurance, one of the big things that you're going to do is you need to build trust. So everything that you mentioned with Rob before, this is going to build that trust with that customer. Furthermore, we know a lot of what you guys do during storm season is door knock and canvas. So we actually have a blog with these canvas built out. Now it does say Roofr, but these are editable canvas where you can put in your own QR code that is going to be specified, your own logo, your own colors, your own wording, your own contact information for postcards, for yard signs, for all that stuff. So you could tie this with your insurance estimating and really take on both a retail and insurance market. I find that it's a common misconception that instant estimator tools are made for retail. Yes, they're great for retail, but they also work very well for insurance because of the fact that we have customizable ranges in there.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about, I guess, why let's talk about the questions, right? Obviously, one of the things that came up early on, was the questions, the order of the questions. I know initially when you guys looked at the questions, we reordered some of the stuff. So talk a little bit about what you guys have going on there, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, we get comments all the time asking for specific things about different things that might apply to some roofers. Like solar roofing is one we get asked about a lot, and there's a couple others, and also about wanting to be able to reorder this. Maybe that some people want to ask about the address last because they realize that that's like a big step. They want to do it. Some people want to do it right at the start. Ask the hardest question first, and then it's easy after that. So over the next couple months, with some of the other changes we're doing, is we're going to add a new set of questions. Another 4 or 5 questions are coming, and we're going to let you now reorder all these questions. And that's going to let you just further customize it and build it to match whatever your flow looks like. And so keep your eyes out for that. Towards the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, I love it.
That's gonna be exciting too.
That's huge, right?
A big suggestion that we've gotten is like, hey, I want to add this question and I want to add this question, and so being able to give them more options. Like, do you want to talk about a little bit of the sneak peek of some of them that are coming?
Yeah, actually, to jump on what we kind of just talked a second ago, actually, one of the big ones is asking about insurance and talking about is there damage on the roof, or is this going to be part of an insurance claim? That way, you can change your sales approach depending on which they kind of specify, which is very useful if you're in markets where there's a lot of insurance work. We're going to be asking about solar. Let me actually pull up the list because I don't want to miss any. So give me 1 second. I will find that list of of new questions.
While he's pulling it up, but that's another big thing with the difference between insurance and retail, because we can customize and put in as many links as we need, or how many we create as many as we want to. We could have different pricing, different QR codes, different questions answered on each landing page, on each piece of collateral that you're sending out, business cards or whatever they may be, to really specify towards it. So if you're knocking an area that's got smoked by hail, you could have the insurance questions on that, but on your retail estimate page or in a retail area, you have your retail questions on there as well. So really opens up those options.
Yeah, actually, so other ones I able to go the whole list here. One of the other big ones is asking about, is the primary structure a multi-story building? Because I know there's a lot of roofers who will have additional charges if it's multiple stories. So not only are we going to let you ask the question, we're also going to add the concept of like a multi-story surcharge. So you can also change your pricing specifically if it is a multi-story building, since I know there's some extra challenges with that. So that's going to be a big one. I mentioned insurance, but we're also going to have a separate question around damage. So you can ask both sides of it, is there damage, and then is it going to be part of an insurance claim? And then the last one, or sorry, 2 more. One is, how old is the roof on the structure? That way you can get a sense of how long it's been there. And last one is on the different side, on the more marketing side, is how did you hear about us? Just in case any of you are interested in trying to find out, what ads are most effective. Are people seeing, this is the QR code on the side of your truck? Are they hearing about you online? So you can just get a little bit more information about where are people discovering you.
Nice. It's worth noting that with great power comes great responsibility. We're going to give you an entire battery of questions you can add. I caution, please don't add all of them. We do see fall off. Like the more questions you add, the less likelihood they're going to get to that money form where they give you their contact info. So it's definitely worth testing. So turn them on, see if they're adding value. You can always add more questions if you need to filter out the leads even more. But kind of look at it almost as a defensive strategy. Like if you're getting too much of an influx and you're getting leads that aren't qualified, you can add more questions to actually refine those coming in the door. But I would definitely be judicious in terms of how many you add at once, so you can kind of gauge the impact.
Yeah, I love that. It's great advice. Hey, one of the things I wanted to touch on here too is I think we have some folks in here that are maybe new to the instant estimator, but I think you touched on it a little bit, Nick, the ability to have multiple instant estimators. You see him kind of scrolling through a list here. You know, what are some of the use cases here that we see? We see people that are using it for, like Nick said, you can use it for insurance versus retail. But I think one of the questions was asked, can I have one for every one of my sales reps? Is each sales rep have its own QR code?
Yeah, one of the power things behind this is that you can create as many as there, and then it's also trackable. So think about like understanding your paid marketing. You'll always have your stuff on there. You got guys, one of the guys in here, Nick Backen from AI Tycoon, shout out to him, does a really great job with making these funnels on social media and understanding that. But outside of your paid marketing, how are you going to find out like how well my sales reps are doing individually, or how is my organic marketing facing my paid marketing? So be able to create one for each sales rep for each one of their sources. So Nick's business cards, Nick's door hangers, Nick's postcards, Nick's mailers, all that stuff, and be able to track that through a performance dashboard is going to be huge for you. And that's what we can do here is not only can we see all the sources that we have for our instant estimator or our lead sources that are coming in and how many leads are coming in, but I could also now see how many of those leads become qualified, how many of those qualified became one, the rates between them, and then the ROI on the payout. So I can see that, hey, Nick's business card's kicking ass here. It's doing really well. It's making $51,000 in ROI on this, on the average ROI. Total is around that much here, right? So we could start to understand how Nick's performing versus John, or how my property manager's postcard's doing versus my email signature line. So even from an organic standpoint, I start to understand where my marketing is going. And that's a big thing with us, Pete. It's like we don't, as roofers, marketing's typically a black box. We need to find someone to help us out with that. And this is going to tie that all together. So you can start to see that. And when a lead comes in too, you'll be able to see when that lead comes in, where it came from, and everything around it. So I can go down and Rob, you were mentioning before, getting to that customer quickly. Well, imagine matching urgency with urgency. So a customer is normally giving you a call and they're not calling because they're preparing. Like they might be, but like odds on favorite are something happened. Like there's a leak in their house, it's leaking their son's room, whatever the case is. So imagine your first call to them is not asking the same qualifying questions that they're getting from every other roofer. And instead attacking urgency with urgency, being like, hey, Mrs. Jones, I noticed that there's leaking in your son's room and you're looking at financing and you want to go back with asphalt. Is that correct? I see that you're really only focused on the main roof here, that one there. And I saw you were interested in both repair the dynasty and the standing seam. Not a problem. My rep, Cam, is going to come out there real quick for you, take a look at that and be able to attack that. And now we've just separated urgency versus urgency because we have all the things that they clicked on. We have all the information that you typically would have asked on the phone. That's what the qualifying questions did. So now we talked about separating ourselves from the competition by providing this kind of information. Imagine that first phone call. That's going to separate yourself even more and allow you to have an easier time going through. And then you tie in what Process Pete has always said with the speed to lead. That's going to tie everything together as well. You're 7 times more likely to close a job if you're the first person, if you call them within the first hour of their inquiry. Then you could turn it into a proposal and all that stuff. And there's more stuff in there, but on just the instant estimator, you're setting yourself apart from the competition and being the first one out there with the information that they need. You're going to increase the likelihood of you getting into that job.
Yeah. Speaking of the questions, Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Zach asked, is there a sweet spot for the amount of questions before it is too much?
Yeah, as little as possible. I mean, I'd honestly like that 5 to 7 range is great. Like I think 5 is a great start, but test it on yourself, test it on your neighbor, test it on your sister, like click through it and you'll know right away if it feels laborious and it feels like too much. But I mean, imagine that you're in the case Nick just mentioned, you're actually calling because it's leaking into your son's room. Like there's a point where you're like, this isn't worth my time. Like I've already answered this. Like I'm not going to go through 12 questions because I have no idea what's on the other side. I'm just going to go find somebody else that's going to pick up the phone. So you want to make it simple enough. So Yeah, I'd say shoot for kind of like that, maybe 4 to 5 to start with. But if you're getting a giant influx and you're getting a lot of unqualifieds, then just keep adding, and then you're pretty much just adding a filtering system at that point. And yeah, but it's set up so that you can customize it and you can test it. And that could change the time of year, it could change the location, but you can create as many instant estimators as you would like. So I would definitely recommend creating a few and then seeing which one's actually a bit more performant. And that'll give you some insights into terms of like for your particular market, what's the appetite? Because you are building confidence with the buyers. They're answering these questions. You're kind of teaching them all the things that you offer. You're educating them. Hopefully the images are speaking to that as well. But yeah, but I'd say around 5 is a good number to start with.
I think it's
you can always add.
Yeah, important to note too little is just the same problem that you talked about earlier. Then you're just getting a lead for sake of a lead. And now how much time is your admin person or your salesperson or whomever wasting on calling leads that were like, I was just checking. Like that sucks just as much as getting in like no leads, right? You're just wasting your time. But the benefit of having that 5 to 7 or 4 to 7 that you're mentioning is that you're going to get some qualification out of them, and then you can call them. And if they are not set up and they are fishing for the future, great. You didn't get in a truck and drive there. Like you saved your time, saved your energy, and now you're focusing on the bigger things that you need to, because the majority of us are small to medium-sized businesses owners. We're kind of owner operators. We don't have time for that. Like we have other things to focus on.
Yeah, and I think it's a super important thing to note here, right? Like the instant estimator is not here to just generate you a bunch of random leads. Like the idea of the instant estimator is to be a funnel and to go ahead and be able to validate these leads and filter out what we used to call the tire kickers, right? Nic and I used to say, filter out the tire kickers, right? Get to the qualified people so that you can save time and that you can be more honed in what you're doing. Think of it from that kind of standpoint, and then it kind of caters to what and Rob said about kind of honing your questions and how many you have and what they're asking. How are you best qualifying the leads that you're looking to get, right? Your questions may be different than my questions because of the type of work we do, but ideally at the end of the day, right, like we want to hone that in to get the most qualified leads out of this. That's the idea.
And also, like, if you're in multiple locations, or even if you're in the same location but it's different price point from area A to area B, you can do that with this, right? Like you can have a Florida East and Florida West instant estimator that offer different price per squares. If you have like the aforementioned like rich area, could put a couple points on. They could afford it. No, I'm kidding. But like you can do that. Like the customization with our instant estimator is pretty robust, and you're able to kind of set it up and even A/B test something, right? Like if I have an idea, I want to try these questions out, but I don't know how it's going to work. Try it out, throw it in an area, and then you can start to track with our performance dashboard how it's converting. So
I'm trying to, we got a couple of things here. Nic actually just put a really good tip in there. He said, add a downsell on the IE, such as a roof rejuvenation product or a basic single to triage those leads who need options besides your main shingle line, right? So it's a great way to kind of see what kind of leads you have coming in and what specifically they're looking for, right? Greg here says, how does this system of questions compare to a lead quality control manager on the phone?
I wouldn't say like there's no comparison. I think it's going to supplement that lead quality manager. Like instead of them having to dive in, I think you should still qualify a lead regardless if you get all of the qualification data in from an instant estimator. But it's going to break down their time, and instead of doing 20 leads a day, maybe they can do 30 and qualify. It's going to really help them flow through these things a lot faster. So I don't think one should replace the other. I think they should be supplementing each other. I don't know about you, Pete. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think that, it's, if anything, it's helping to just hone that person's job and make it a little bit more meaningful, right? Maybe making it a little bit more powerful by feeding them specifically some better quality leads.
Mm-hmm. That's huge there too. The other thing to note on this is that this can show up on commercial as well. So commercial coatings and everything else, that's another big thing for maintenance and stuff. So
Nice. I mean, is that in terms of the quality question, it's also an alternative channel, right? Like certain buyers might, in certain demographics, might not be able to or want to pick up the phone and call and invest that time. But if they're stuck in a meeting and they're trying to get quotes for a project, like this is something they can fire off very quickly by scanning your website. It goes through the forum. So it's giving an alternative channel in addition to them just picking up the phone and calling you. So it's, if you're not offering a digital form at this point, it's a great four-way because the lift to get this on your site is so light, and you actually don't even have to host it. You can just link to a URL that Roofr hosts, and then it's going to load instantly.
Yeah, it's funny. We were literally just talking about some marketing things on a podcast that Kate and I just did. Kate's kind of in the background here today, answering some of your questions in the chat, but same type of idea. You know, I think we have this mindset of like, oh, I'm going to use this and it's just going to completely replace something else that I'm doing, where we kind of do the same thing with marketing. Is like, oh, I'm going to, you know, instead of yard signs, I'm going to post on Facebook now or run Facebook ads. But really, it's all about the layers, right? Like we want to layer this stuff to give us multiple options and give that customer multiple ways to get in touch with us. And that's a perfect example, right? Like you can be on the phone and still have the instant estimator running as well. Now you're attacking it from two separate points instead of just replacing one with the other.
That's exactly it.
So what do you got for us, Nick? You got anything else you need to show us here today?
I think it's like the commercial side of things.
There.
Yeah, the commercial kind of side of things is really interesting too, because not many instant estimators are going to show you that aspect as well, is the flat roofing. So not only we do residential, which is the first thought on that, but the commercial side too. And if you think about commercial owners, it's either a corp, or it's a property management company, or it's a single prop owner. And these people are definitely going to be shopping out because they know that they're about to spend 6 figures plus on a roof. So they're going to want to look for not only a good price that's going to be affordable to them, but something that's going to be long lasting and a company that they could trust with 6 figures of payment. So think about this is where you could offer them everything here from repair and maintenance to silicone coating, acrylic coating, whatever you're doing on the flat roofs, TPO, mod bit, pretty much anything that on a flat there, and open that door up to a trust factor where you're going to show them that, hey, I'm the person that I can definitely help you out with. I can break this all down, and this is why you should trust me. Here's my face, here's my information, and here's what I can do for you. So for a commercial aspect of it, or you even think about mailers that you're sending out that are targeted towards like corps and stuff like that, or an industrial area, that stuff is going to get you more leads and probably introduce you to those big ticket items. My dad always used to say a cheesy line that like residential is going to keep the lights on your business and commercial is going to put you on vacation. Help this tool put you on vacation. So it's or have this tool help you put you on vacation.
Well, you know, and another big thing to note too is that when you're quoting commercial projects, they almost always have to get multiple quotes, right? So they're in a situation where they've got to get, you know, they've got to have either multiple quotes about material, maybe multiple quotes from multiple contractors. So this is an easy way for them to get some quotes, especially if you're adding multiple quotes like Nick is showing there, you know, maybe different types of material that you potentially do on the roof. So that may solve a problem for them very easily to where they can come to one instant estimator, get all the quotes that they need, and be able to make that presentation to pick the best option for them. So, you know, so it could be really helpful as far as commercial quoting.
Yeah, it opens up the door too with that repair and maintenance contract. You get that in there, and like you said, it's like a recurring revenue, Pete. It's just going to keep on moving these things forward, create that relationship, and maybe that roof's not ready right now, but you're the person who offered repair and maintenance. You got that trust, and now 2 years down the line, you're getting a 6-figure roof.
Huge.
And then
repairs and maintenance are huge, right? Huge on the commercial side.
It just makes such a big difference. Hey, Pete, are we wearing the same shirt?
I believe that we are.
Twins. Nice.
We didn't even plan that.
No, I just saw that now when you leaned back. I was like, ooh, fancy. But yeah, so this stuff can tie in with that, especially with the calendar integration there, the link that you could build in there to whatever calendar you're using. Set those appointments right off the bat. You're going to get more of a separation again from the competition and put your best foot forward always.
Yeah, Rob, I think maybe you could touch a little bit on that. You know, I think that the calendar, the addition of the calendar link here, you know, and the power that gives you now. I know a lot of contractors asked us for that. trying to get away from having to call leads and stuff like that. So maybe talk a little bit about the mindset behind that and the advantage that it gives you having the ability to have a calendar link right here on the instant estimator.
I mean, honestly inspired by my wife. And she's an attorney, and she's not going to pick up the phone if some random number just calls her that's not in her address book. And unfortunately, that's how most of these numbers are going to appear. So the ability to actually control your schedule, control the conversation. And if somebody actually does schedule a call with you and they want to speak with you, the qualification of that lead is through the charts. Like they're selecting time in their day to actually book a call, and they're controlling the conversation a bit. But it's just a third entry point. So this way they don't have to wait for you to call them. They can actually say, this is when I have time. And then so the chances of them actually like connecting the dots and you getting in touch with them are dramatically increased. But like in growth design, we think of it of creating loops. So on that page, there's a big button at the top that says share the estimate, share the link. And we want people to actually send this to their partner, send this to their significant other, send it to their manager. And this is a way that you can keep that conversation going. So you've just multiplied your lead from one person to 2 to 3 other people. And so if we can get the conversation going and then multiple people are looking at this, gives you a way to actually create some movement like around these estimates. So it's not just lost on one single person. So we call it a loop effect, a network effect, but we want to make this something that you can share out, and then it's something that they can reference, just like a printed leave behind. So anyone clicking on this link, it's going to pull it up, no questions asked, straight to the results page. And then it makes it very, very easy to have a conversation about these numbers.
Yeah, having that link to bring people in is huge. It just like now they're doing it on their time, and you got to think about like, especially like people around our generation, were like the millennials or elder millennials in that kind of phase. We've kind of wanted to take our time back. We don't want to waste our times on a sales call. We know what we want. We want to get an idea of it, and we can shop around. Jeff Bezos has ruined our minds for this. So, and he's here right now. On your screen, but
the balloons.
But now you can just get that information up front. So not only the pricing, but you can schedule the time for the call that works for me. I don't have to go through like, hey, what's your best time? Just like, no, I'm picking the time, picking the day, picking the things, and it all sets up right off the bat. So it's a really nice introduction. And James, sorry for the teaser. Calendar is coming, but this is just a nice what would you call it, workaround for now.
Yeah, it's this is Calendly, which is different than the Roofr calendar, which will be in the platform. But for anyone not familiar with Calendly, it's very easy for you to take your Gmail account. You can set up some availability on your Google Calendar, and then you can link it to this. It'll probably take you about 20 minutes to set up, like at the most, if you've never touched it before. If you already have it wired together, it'll probably take 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was just literally, I just found the copy link button and pasted it into our back end. And it was just like, here you go. Boom. It's in there.
Cam, I got a question here by Bobby. I just wanted to touch on. He said, brand identity is important to our brand. We would love to see some custom domain options to present a consistent brand image. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely agree. Brand is a big piece of it. I would say in this case, your best bet would be to use our iframe, which is basically you can actually embed the Instant onto your website. So just like Nick's showing here. So rather than opening it in our tab, just have it built directly into your website. There's a small snippet of code you can copy from the settings page. And with that, you can work with your web developer or whoever you have building your website and just paste that snippet and it will be on your website. And then that way you can just link them to you. In terms of like the QR code and all that kind of stuff, because the QR code will still link to our side for now. You do have the option of you can create your own QR code, which will go to your website. But I think there's nothing in the works right now for making this link to your website. That's quite hard to do, unfortunately. So the best bet is to go through embedding the iframe into your website and then like either creating a personal personal QR code that will link to your website or something similar. That's going to be your best option.
There's ways like to break it down a little bit. The link is still going to say app.roofr.com, but you can customize the back end and change it to whatever you need. As you can see here, I just put it into my name. But like Cam was saying, having it built into your site is a huge, huge feature. I would recommend that if you're using links on your Facebook or on your QR codes or anything like that, that it should go directly to that landing page. Because as Rob mentioned before, that you don't want the drop off from too many questions. You also don't want them searching on your website for the right button. So even though that the CTA is pretty big and prominent here, and even on my parents' site here, big and prominent, you don't want them looking and trying to find it and then getting annoyed and just saying, whatever, I'll look at it later. Because if they look at it later, there's an odds that they're not going to look at it at all. So having it embedded in there, but each one has that option, which is great. We have the option for links, for QR codes, and embed code on each and every link that you create, and it's automatic for you.
Chad's got a great question here. I don't know if it's better for Nick or for Cam. It says, is there a way to move or reposition the captured area when you type an address into the Instant Estimator?
Absolutely, I can handle that one. So right now there is not, but that is something we have definitely been thinking about. I mentioned earlier, the accuracy of the footprints is definitely one of the most common questions we get asked about. We've been adding newer imagery providers recently that have higher quality footprints and also like the ability to capture multiple buildings. I saw you had something about also only capturing like the barn, for example. So that is something our new imagery provider is much better at. But we recognize it's still not 100% perfect. We don't control it ourselves. We are using a third-party provider, so there's a limit to how much we can improve their side of things. We do have plans to make this movable and editable, so that if it's not 100% accurate, we can improve it. So that is in the works, but realistically, that's still not probably going to happen this year. Really, just being honest with y'all, it's probably going to be early next year kind of timeline. But our new imagery provider is better, so I think that's going to be less of an issue going forward than it was if you look at like last year or even the very beginning of this year. And we're also still always looking at additional imagery providers if we can find better and better sources. And that is definitely something that's high on our priority list.
I would mention that we used to have that draw and adjust the lines of it. It was not loved by the end user, the customer. It just adds more friction into that pathway and it will pull away. So even if it's like locating on a portion of the roof or just slightly off, they're still likely to click through and you get their information and then you can call them or they'll call you. Trust me. They'll be like, that's not my house. That's the neighbor's house. And you're like, okay, cool. What's your house? Let me type it in. And then you get your own lead from there as well. So it's half a dozen in one, six in another kind of deal. It's like, yeah, of course you want it to be direct, but you can't. Pulling it across will work for some, but most of the people might just drop off on that for what we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And just touch on that a little bit more. That's one of the things we are doing and why it's not something I can promise sooner is because we're trying to do a lot of testing with actual homeowners because we need to make sure that it's something that is easy to use and doesn't cause drop off. So definitely going to be an optional step. But then there's also the question of like how many people are actually going to bother to edit the boundaries and make it perfect when they could just kind of, it's close, I'll go for it and talk about it later. So definitely something we're kind of finding a balance for right now and still doing some testing on.
Yeah, Waylon's question actually prompted a great idea. He asked if they can't find their house, is it all for naught? I'm like, I mean, that is something we could consider, that if we can't find it, we could almost push into that contact form, like having trouble loading it. Yeah.
Actually just launched something for that relatively recently. So if you have the contact form set up where it has your information, we won't send them to that page, but if they put an address where there is no results, we will give them your contact information and basically say like, hey, we're really sorry, we couldn't find your roof. Here's my number and my email. Contact us and we'll get you a quote. That way it's not completely lost. Because especially if you're in some rural areas, like this can happen occasionally. Again, getting better as we get better and better providers. But if it happens now, it's not completely dead. We will send them your information if you have that contact card set up and we know what information to give them. Great question.
Cool. Well, we're getting kind of long on time here, guys. So does anybody have any parting shots here on the new Instant Estimator features?
I'm so excited for the next steps of it. All the stuff that was talked about today, all the stuff that was in the chat from Cam with the teasers. You're real good at that, buddy. And so it's really exciting to get all this stuff in there to start to be able to really, really show this off for you guys. I know that it's a big thing that you guys wanted, so I can't wait to talk about this more.
Yeah, we didn't even show off how good it looks on mobile. We got everything above the fold. It's very easy. Like, not gonna miss any buttons.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So definitely try it out on your phone.
Yeah, definitely a good thing to note too. If you guys have anybody out knocking doors, right, they're probably going to be using it on mobile. So the fact that it's more mobile friendly will definitely be an advantage. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. Always fun to have some of the team on the call with us. And we appreciate everyone joining us today on the Masterclass, and we hope to see you guys next time. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone. See ya.
Thank you.